I had 20 movies on my iPad.
Wait, what?
Oh my.
You put more than that on there.
Aren't you Alaskans just pure movie addicts anyway?
Not everyone.
No, but it's how we entertain ourselves during like cold winter days, which are coming up pretty soon anyway.
You guys live in bumfuck Alaska. The only thing there to do is movies.
Not really.
No, trust me, we're not the we're not the most remote areas.
Well, either that and
Oh,
hunt
no.
moose.
I don't hunt. Oh.
Yeah.
I keyed.
What are you, what's that, the puppet dog?
Puppet dog.
Oh, God, I don't remember.
Insult
It's
comic
some kind
dog or something?
Yeah, the comic dog, I forgot his name.
Anyway.
I remember the name. I don't know what it's from.
We
Anyway.
had a 6-hour flight coming home.
So that's what my trip home was hours, well, from Chicago to here. So
Triumph the Insult Comic Dog?
thank you.
What's that from?
Stephen Colbert? Or is that a...
Oh my god, yeah, I think so. Fuck. Anyway, hello everyone, welcome to the Legend Hunters podcast, minus Legend for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, poor guys.
He's swamped.
Yeah, just swamped with school stuff, so he needs to go take care of that.
Yeah, so...
But the show must go on!
Pretty much so.
Well then, how... Moosey started us off, so why don't you tell us how your week's been? Well, that about answers it.
There's been, like, a whole bunch of cleaning and all kinds of crap to get done since we got back.
Oh yeah, you went on a trip to Maine, right?
Yes, for almost 2 weeks.
Did you see Pennywise?
It was good to see family, but you get to a certain point in the trip and you're like, okay, it's been great to visit. Can I go home now?
Pretty much so.
Poor Moosey.
And apparently, we brought even more warm weather with us because my aunt had already said that it was unseasonably warm there, so I was smart and I packed a whole bunch of shorts. And when we got there, it was even more warm than when she had told us about it.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my.
Which, for that time of year, is odd. They have a similar climate to here. Except for it's a damp cold there, and here it's a dry cold. So when it's cold there, it seeps into your body. When it's cold here, it cuts through your body.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sounds like El Paso winter.
So it's like, yeah, with about a 40 to 50 degree difference.
Pretty much.
And we're already averaging at a high of about 40 degrees most days right now, so it's only going to get colder.
Good thing I already have my car winterized. So I'm good to...
Nice.
We use all-weather tires, so we're good.
That's not what I mean by winterized.
And then, oh good lord, finally got the cat feeling better.
Yay.
She's on a low-fat diet, so she's pissed.
Of course she is.
She can't have any milk or any of the cheese or anything.
No tuna for him.
Tiny little tidbits. She will sit there in the morning when my mom has cereal and just glare at her.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And she can't have her Greenies treats anymore because there's too much fat in them. But they were catnip flavor.
I see.
So she's healthier, but she's pissed off.
Isn't that how most diets are?
Except for she's stuck on this one.
Yee. That ain't fun.
That's all you can do.
And then I'm doing my laundry last night, right?
Alright.
I go downstairs. Oh, the dryer has stopped. I look at the timer and it still has 10 more minutes. And I'm like, okay. But I reach in and my laundry is dry. So I just pull it out, think nothing of it, until I go to put a sweatshirt that's never been washed before, so I washed it individually, into the dryer, and the dryer will not start.
Uh-oh.
So we've had to put in a maintenance call just to see if it's the outlet before we get a new dryer.
Ain't that fun?
It's like, oh, good Lord, why?
Ooh.
But we also got to have PFDs.
Yes.
Permanent fund dividend. We get paid for living here.
I was about to say, otherwise known as the Alaska refund.
Yes, we get paid for living here. Part of mine is going toward video games.
Nice.
Jesus.
What? Just on the 27th, I have 2 video games and 2 guides coming out. So,
You guys get paid to live in Alaska. I'm like, why can't we do that for Texas?
because it
it's not
costs
as bad.
3 times as much to live here than it does there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's much easier to convince people to come to Texas than it is to go to Alaska.
You'd be surprised, actually. But
Alrighty.
I have Mario Odyssey and Assassin's Creed coming out on the same day. And their
Okay.
guides.
Oh god, that's going to be interesting.
I was gonna say, Zero, weren't you gonna get Assassin's Creed?
Kinda.
He was more just interested with the
Egyptian theme.
Egyptian theme. He might redbox it first.
And then I finally remembered to pre-order another game. It was the Dot Hack GU.
Oh.
They're actually bringing it to the PS4, all 3 games, in one disc. So you have the entire story on one disc for the PS4.
Oh, that's always good.
So I was like, ooh. That comes out like the 3rd, though, so I get like 7 days between releases. It's like, oh my god, why? Why did I do this to myself? Obviously, I've been playing Splatoon 2 because it is Splatfest, as we shall talk about.
Werewolf vs. Vampire, and the
Well,
vampires
that's
are being blood-sucking dickbags.
We'll get to it, guys.
Well, like I said, as we will talk about. So I was working on that, played a little Stardew on the Switch. I still prefer the PC version, but, you take what you can get.
Well, I think the only downside to the handheld version is that you can't mod it.
Well, it's not as maneuverable as the PC one either.
What do you mean maneuverable?
Like, I could stand in the middle of a patch of crops and water them all from one spot. You can't do that on the Switch version.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird. It feels pretty much the same to me. It feels a bit more accessible to me, if anything else. Then again, I might be weird.
Just everyone has their own personal preference.
Aren't we all?
Well, if anything, I've been getting a lot of diamonds in this run.
And then, obviously I've been addicted to replaying Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga since I have it on the 3DS now.
Nice.
And it's been, like, revamped. I mean, the graphics and everything.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like a Game Boy Advance game anymore.
I still have some issues with the redesign, but that's just me.
I also picked up the Professor Layton game, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Oh, the one with his daughter?
Mm-hmm. I like to wait a little bit after I pick one up, because then if I get stuck, to the point where I can't figure out one of the puzzles, but I really, really want to figure it out. Find out what it was, so that way I can go, oh, okay, that makes sense. By the time I play it, there's at least a vague guide to help me figure it out.
Nice.
Oh, I see what it is.
That way, if I'm to the point where I can't progress on a puzzle and I can't figure that said puzzle out, I'll go look at that at that point,
Like, great.
Because you figure you want to go on with the plot after a while,
Pretty
So if
much.
you're stuck to the point where you can't figure it out, but someone else has figured it out, you're like, okay, I'll at least peek at the process on how to solve this. And then if you still can't figure it out, okay, what's the damn answer?
Derp. Oh, whose phone was that?
Not mine. Mine's on mute.
My bad. Sorry.
Derp.
Right next to my microphone, too. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Dude.
Alrighty then, so who's next up on our list? Or is there anything else you want to talk about, Mosey?
I've also been working on one of my addictions,
Oh?
Stardew Valley?
Puzzles.
Uncharted 4.
Oh, that one.
Well, and puzzles, but, You have to find something to fill your time when you're waiting for an agency to call you back, so that way you can try to find a freaking job. And then you eventually run out of cleaning to do, so you gotta find something to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
pretty
yourself
much.
somewhat sane.
Okay. So, Akari, how's your week been?
Pretty much the same as usually do. Work and whatnot, and I have to be part of this committee at work to help with the Halloween event, which I am not looking forward to because I work till almost 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, especially when I have to work at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day.
So, super evil then.
Very much.
Somewhere someone is laughing evilly and they don't know why.
Yeah, that'd be my boss. What else? Not much. Other than that, not much has really been going on with me. I've been trying to catch up on a bunch of games I've been doing. I've been getting back into my Halloween. I'm getting into my Halloween tradition, which I mostly watch nothing but horror-related or Halloween-related films, no matter how good or bad they are, just for the heck of it. And the most recent thing I just did is I watched all 7 Chucky movies, so I'm all good to go on that. And I'm currently working on Evil Dead.
Original or the remake?
Just all 4 movies, all 4 of them.
Ah.
I'm currently on my favorite one, which is Dead by Dawn, the second one.
And I caught you in Entei.
Oh, that's right. I couldn't make it because I was working late, so Lucy and Yami went out raiding, and she used I gave her permission to use my account, and she caught me in a level, the 89 Ivy Entei with Fire Fang and Overheat.
Nice.
Haven't had to play. I tried to catch one myself, but it ran off on me. Which I'm like, great. I'm like, don't start this whole thing with Luki again.
No, see, I can't wait till next month, because that's when the Americas finally get Suicune.
Get me one, you crazy woman.
You catch it yourself.
Dude, I am nowhere near any Pokestop, and I have no idea how to do any of this stuff. I stopped playing the game a long time ago.
You gotta go to a gym.
I did when me, Leo, and Legend tried to go see Rocky Horror. There was a Pokestop nearby. I could not figure out how to work it anymore. They changed.
Yeah, they changed the rules since Gen 2.
Do you feel old, Zero?
No, I just don't care.
Oh, so you have house syndrome.
House syndrome?
You've become Gregory House.
Well, wait for my knee to get worse and I have to use a cane, and then we'll see.
No, that's me at the moment. So
No, Zero actually had to use a cane for a while after he shattered his. Did you shatter your knee or your shin?
I think he shattered his.
It was my lower. It was the connect. Okay, it was right underneath the kneecap. It was the lower leg. It was right at the connector.
Oh, that's.
I had crushed one side and a long fracture along the other.
Oh yeah, that's rough.
Well, at least it's not as bad as my mom's knees, because they actually crackle when she moves them. I've felt them. They actually make visceral cracking and popping noises.
Too much.
No, really don't, dude. Because leg injuries make me flinch really bad. They really do.
Well, Zero knows. He went through one, so yeah.
I literally broke my leg just by tripping and falling. Only I could do that.
To be fair, you were running up with things in your arms, and you're running with things in your arms upstairs.
It wasn't upstairs. There was just a dip in the concrete that was cracked.
Yeah, that's the worst part. It's not like you even knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so anything else, Akari?
Got a movie gift from my mom. I got Baby Driver, which I am gonna stop watching at this point. I'm obsessed. Help me.
Oh yeah, speaking of movies, I have tickets for something cool.
I'm waiting to get paid to do that. Yeah, and
They're doing a fan event for the new Star Wars movie. It's the first IMAX show of the night. There's exclusive content. You get like some collectible stuff and a special concession offer.
Really?
Yeah.
for $30.
Huh.
So me and Ryoma have tickets already for that.
I just need to talk to Yami about that.
So it should be a fun evening. And it's Star Wars.
And speaking of movies, because I just remembered, I went and saw Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, how was that?
Really good, but I will warn for anybody who wants to watch this movie, it's a 2-hour and 45-minute movie, and it's very slow paced, but that's the intention of it.
Ooh.
That's okay. I'm waiting for a movie that comes out the 20th.
Which one is that one again?
Geostorm.
Oh,
That-
good God, I'll pass on that.
Is that one of those?
What is that?
It's a cheesy disaster movie.
I mean, I figured that, but like, what is the disaster?
Okay, there's
There's a satellite network that controls the weather,
Okay.
and it goes haywire.
basically someone hacks into it and controls it.
So it's cloudy with a chance of meatballs without the food part?
Basically,
No, we're talking like the ground in certain areas, like literally liquefies. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on, and
But that has to do with the tectonic plates and all that. What does that have to do with the satellite?
it pretty much controls the atmosphere on Earth.
Oh,
We're talking like yeah,
that's bollocks.
Bullshit.
Yes,
Bull.
but it's so bollocks that it looks just to be like it's. You know how some movies are so horrible they're just magical.
You're saying it's like a Sharknado?
Yes, I'm betting it's gonna be like that. And those are the kind of movies me and my dad just go and we laugh at because it's just so great to laugh at. So I've been waiting for this movie because that's gonna be hilarious.
Don't give this thing money. Please, don't.
Yeah, we didn't give money to the.
We'll see it for free.
Okay, as long as you see it for free, as long as you don't give it money, we don't want to encourage another.
My dad
emotion.
gets 3 free passes a day.
Oh wow.
that's how we got to see My Little Pony.
Ugh. Ugh. God.
Yes!
And it was good.
It actually was legit good.
I mean, I know that the storylines are good, just people give it a lot of crap because the fan base is terrible.
Yeah,
part of the
Leo,
fan base is
remember your friend from high
He's
school?
not a friend anymore, he's an acquaintance, and yes, I remember that particular acquaintance.
Yeah, he was a real creeper.
Only part of the fan base is horrible. The people who actually sit there and just enjoy the show,
Right.
they're fine.
Right. Yeah.
I know, I'm just messing around.
Real.
Yeah. And that's where we have problems.
Yes. We went just to enjoy a silly, fun movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zero, how have you been?
How have I been?
I wasn't done yet.
Oh, you aren't? Sorry? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't get to my games yet.
Oh, shit. Keep going, man.
For gaming, I've been going with Splatoon 2, because I haven't played the Switch for 2 weeks when I was house sitting. But playing Pokemon Sun, trying to catch up on that. And I've recently have been playing Cuphead. And I fucking love it. I guess it's probably the best Xbox One game I've played so far.
Really? I thought it was the only Xbox One game.
Well, I have Gears of War 4 as well. I haven't completed that one yet, too. But this one blows it out of the water for me, because I just like the style of it. And plus, I grew up with a lot of running gun games like Contra.
It's a mixture of Contra, Mega Man, and for people who like to, actually let it get to them. You know how some people, when they play Dark Souls and they die over and over and over again, they beat their head against a wall? That's the only comparison that I make with Dark Souls, is because some people, if they die several times in this, like 20 times in a row, they're going to beat their heads against a wall.
Exactly. And the last game I've been doing, I've been recently updated it. I've been playing Friday the 13th again, because they added a new map. They added weather, which now it's now actually raining, and they brought in Jason from Part 4, aka the one that gets killed by Corey Feldman.
Ooh.
Kid Corey Feldman.
It's hilarious watching YouTubers play that.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. And not to mention, the character models for all the counselors in Jason look a lot better than before. And I just had a blast playing the new map last night. It was just like, there's more places to hide and die. I did have it.
Nice.
So now that's my day, my week.
Alrighty, so for my week, let's see. I picked up a few games. I think I mentioned this before, but I picked up Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valencia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty good game so far. Haven't really gotten super far into it, but I've gotten far enough to interact with the second character of the story, Celica.
It's not one of my favorite Fire Emblems. It's good, it's just not one of my favorites.
Yeah. And it's very linear. It's that whole going straight down the path kind of thing. But you can backtrack and grind, which is good. So there's that. I picked up Stardew Valley for the Switch, and I've been playing it practically every day.
Of course.
Addict.
Shut up.
Hey, like I can talk. I have over 200 hours between two save files on the Steam version, okay? That's why I can call you an addict.
Yeah, well, you're a mega addict.
One of the streams that I watch sometimes, if she's playing that game and somebody buys it, we go, one of us, one.
I think you mentioned this before on another podcast.
It's freaking hilarious. We've got at least 10 different people that say that now when somebody buys the game.
Oh, God.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I prefer the Switch version because I'm more of a portable gamer kind of guy. And I just don't like to be huddled in front of my computer playing a game.
And also because your PC doesn't do well with PC gaming.
Well, I use a Mac. I'm recording this entire thing off of a Mac. I record our Let's Plays off of a Mac.
There be your thing, but anyway, I digress.
Yeah, and I'm pretty
Most
sure
of the time when I'm playing the PC version, it's because I'm watching something on my cable box on my TV.
I see.
So if I'm trying to catch up on my shows, that's a good thing to just sit there and play.
And anyway, I tend to use my computer for editing and watching Let's Plays, which, as what I've been doing mostly a lot of recently. I've been watching. I think the only other than Chugga Conroy, the other Let's Player I watch is KZX because he's just so fucking vulgar and he doesn't give two craps. That and he also really loves to point out the bullshit in RPGs and visual novel games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he just finished a Let's Play of. Have you ever played the Zero Escape games? Anyone?
I've heard of them.
I think I've watched some people play them.
Yeah, well, the Zero Escape games are. I guess they make them. I guess they're like akin to Danganronpa almost.
Yeah, they're death games pretty much. You're trying to stay alive.
Yeah, the first game is called 999, which is 9 doors, 9 hours, 9 doors, 9 persons, I think, or some combination thereof.
So, yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. The one weird thing about it is it tacks on this weird thing where your consciousness can kind of jump between timelines, sorta, and
Yes.
you can learn stuff from one timeline to help you in another timeline. They didn't really explain it very well in the first game.
It's basically like you know how in Car, you know how in Until Dawn you have like the little stat tracker that lets you say, oh, if you do this, this happens. Like you can path out how people evolve over time.
Yes.
Like it's basically that, but for that game, and they simplify it because there's only two main routes.
Well, not really. There's a few. There's quite a few dead end routes. You kind of have to need. You kind of need to get all the dead end routes and then do a specific thing in one route in order to unlock the true ending.
Oh, but yeah, I mean like that.
Yeah, because you have to go through specific doors with specific people to and then solve puzzles within those rooms in order to escape. And you'll have to go because it works in the first game. It works on this thing called the digital root, where basically your combined numbers must equal the digital root of whatever the number on the door is. So how do I put this? Like they're looking for a door with a 9, basically. Say there's a door with a 3 on there. You need the combined numbers that equal 21, because the digital root of 21 is 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. It's really complicated.
Okay.
But, yeah, Casey's did 999, and he just finished the sequel to it, Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward, and that one's actually pretty good.
Can I have a brief second here?
Yeah?
Sure.
What?
I just saw something on Twitter.
All right.
Ow, my ears.
Gen 3 is coming for Halloween.
Yep.
Alright,
Yeah,
that's been...
basically confirmed. Breaking news, everyone.
Somebody just did the data mine on the APK files for the update that just went out. There are sound clips for Gen 3.
Wonderful.
There is also a specific badge thing. The new wallpaper has Gen 3 ghost Pokemon on it. The loading screen wallpaper.
Ooh.
Cool.
They've added pretty much almost everything we need for Gen 3.
Neat. Alright, can I get back to what I was talking about?
Yes, I had to have a minor squee moment.
Alright. Well, anyway, as I was saying, KZ just finished Virtue's Last Reward, which is the second game, and the third game's called Zero Time Dilemma.
Nice.
And I'm really looking forward to it because, like, again, KZ's probably like the best Let's Player I know because he just bullshits everything.
Oh, wonderful. Nice.
And let's see, other than that, I've been working on commissions, and I'm about to start doing a new commission batch for Halloween icons.
Nice.
Yeah, because I just made a Halloween icon for myself for Twitter and my art sites, so if people are following...
It is. I would do that, but I just got commissioned my icon, so...
Cool. Alright then, well, that's pretty much it for me. Leo, what's going on with you?
Hey, you remember this time? All right.
Shut up.
You know me. I've been busy with school, so not too much on my plate. Although I've done some new things for once. I went ahead and I played Honey Pop
Oh my god.
Why?
because I had it in my Steam library and I said I'm bored, so fuck it.
Not a good reason, man.
I mean, would you prefer me to not play it?
Why'd you play it? It's a mediocre game.
Yeah, it is actually.
But it was something to do.
I mean, the whole thing, like the whole redeeming factor of it, like the whole idea of okay, so the whole plot of the game, in case you don't know, is that it's basically gem matching with a dating sim mixed in.
Ugh.
So you go out, you meet girls, you ask them questions to game. You have two currencies, money and honey. You gain honey, which improves your point totals when you're doing puzzles, and you get money to buy girls gifts and items, so that way you can talk to them more and get more of the other currency. And the whole basic deal is that as you progress through, you can eventually get to a quote unquote sex sequence where you're basically matching a bunch of gems and puzzles in a lightning round mode to get enough points to earn the picture art.
Good lord.
Oh, yes.
I mean, and as far as like as a flash game, it's fine, but like for something serious, it's not really worth it. And that kind of puzzle game is. I'm a Bejeweled and Tetris guy, so with the way that you can slide it, it's kind of like Troze,
Oh.
in that it's like you're moving it along the horizontal or vertical axis to make the pairs. So it's a little bit different than what I'm used to. So I kind of had a slow stalling point. I got up to the point where you're at the quote-unquote final boss, which is the goddess of love, who you actually can't seduce, but it's just a bear, and I couldn't be asked to do it.
You're like, fuck this shit.
But I mean, I've seen enough. I played about 4 hours of it. Like once you've seen one, you've seen it all. So it's like it's not that big of a deal. If that's your thing, then yeah, if it's on sale, I wouldn't spend more than $5 on it personally. The other game I played was Chivalry Mounted Combat, or what's Chivalry Medieval Warfare.
Haven't heard of that.
That is the it's basically like Skyrim, but historical reenactment.
Ah.
You play from a first-person perspective, wielding a bunch of medieval weapons, and you're basically a kingdom at war. Which is the setup for the multiplayer, basically, extravaganza of running around and killing people with swords, axes, polearms, and bows and arrows.
Interesting.
So like, imagine the Skyrim combat, but on a more optimized engine, and to where, like, it's all about swinging and moving around and juking around with opponents.
Okay.
It's actually pretty interesting. The problem is that I just suck at it.
Oh god.
It's not exactly the most intuitive input setup, and even if you try to play on a controller, you're going to still be missing a couple of buttons.
Ugh.
Which make it really hard to get at advanced situations, and a lot of people are advanced by that point. It looks really ridiculous. I enjoy it because of the scenery, but it is just really ridiculous and incredibly obtuse to try and get into. I had it sitting in my Steam library, so I figured I'll just start clearing it out. Start playing things that I haven't touched before.
I see.
I did a little bit more Pokemon. I actually went ahead and did a little sequence break, and instead of going to Olivine City, I went to Mahogany Town.
Oh?
So I actually already caught the red Gyarados and unlocked the Rocket Hideout. which is weird because, like, if you consider doing the game, like, traditionally, which is to go through Olivine Town, to go to Cianwood, to go back to Olivine Town. Like, actually, it's incredibly inefficient.
Really?
Because I think Bryce is either at the same level or a slower level than Chuck.
I'm going to have to double check that.
I'm checking it right now for you just so that I'm not confusing myself, but both gyms are weaker than Jasmine. Because Jasmine's Steelix is like level 32, 33.
Really?
Yeah, I'm bringing it up right now. So, Chuck's Pokemon, his Primeape is 27, his Poliwrath is 30.
Okay.
Mahogany Town's Price has a level 27 Seal, a 29 Dugong, and a 31 Piloswine.
Really?
Yes, and Jasmine has 2 level 30 Magnemite and a level 35 Steelix.
Huh.
So, even though, like, technically you can encounter Price way after seeing Jasmine, the ideal order would be to do Mahogany Town first and then go back and do Cianwood and Olivine.
Weird.
I know, it is incredibly weird. But, I never had a problem with Bryce. I was frustrated with Jasmine. Because that Steelix was so goddamn high that even if you use I could not outdamage him with my with Quilava.
The level of the Steelix is too goddamn high.
Exactly. Even though it does have Sunny Day, which it will only bring out if you use a water type.
Huh.
Because they figured everyone has a Surf Pokemon, they would try to use Surf against Steelix. So apparently it's packing Sunny Day of all things to counter that.
Weird.
I know.
Huh. All right then.
But there you go. Yeah. So it's like I'm doing a little bit of a different sequence break. Right now, I'm just trying to catch a Mankey to fill out my team, and then I should be good to go.
Yeah, I still need to figure out. I think I figured out what my team was going to be. I haven't touched that game at all.
Yeah, it's a good time to go ahead and check it out again.
Yeah, I really should.
And then,
anything else I've been up to? Not that I can say. I probably have been watching a little bit more Fist of the North Star, just been catching up on things, a little bit of My Hero Academia. Other than that, I've been pretty busy with school.
everybody needs to catch up on Ruby.
Yes.
I'm caught up on Ruby for the most part. I'm just waiting for Kiss Anime to kind of pour it out the episode.
It was awesome. I want the next one now.
Suck it up.
They're finally starting to answer questions from last volume.
Huh.
Oh, I'm gonna have to catch up then.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is
That
like...
and Yang's even more badass than she was before.
Now she's got the metal arm.
You get to see her use it.
Oh, nice. Does it like... Does it use...
Wonderful.
Does it...
Let's just say there's this dude trying to hit on her.
Oh no.
They won't take no.
Oh, God.
For an answer?
If I remember correctly, I think she launches him almost through a wall.
Oh, Jesus.
Of course she does.
Good Lord, Yang.
Well, in Volume 4, anybody who's ever seen any of the promo pictures knows that the girls are split up in different areas.
Yeah.
They're slowly starting to reform already,
Yay.
which bodes really well for this volume. That and Crow is a badass, and you get to see more of him in Volume 4. And he's in Volume 5, so that right there is incentive, you know?
Yeah, if I recall right, Crow had a really cool blade that was like a clockwork scythe almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really...
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I really like that weapon design. Alrighty. So, shall we go ahead and get to the news?
Yeah, I think we can get to that.
Alrighty. So, first off, Pokemon news again.
Yeah, so let's get into some of the actual like video game related news aside from Pokemon Go.
Yes.
So there is a bunch of details released since the last podcast relating to details to the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon plot.
Yeah, which has a lot more details added. For starters, we have the Ultra Recon Squad, which is apparently a group of people that live in Ultra Space.
Which apparently is a thing.
Yeah, and they are also...
I mean, I don't know if that would be slightly racist.
I don't know either. Maybe it's just from the lack of sun, because apparently
Probably.
they're from a world where Necrozma has stolen all of the light.
I mean that's what happened to the Drow and the High Elves, and there's a lot of racial tension there.
Ha, 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 ha.
So, but yeah, so depending on which game you get to encounter two different pairs. If you are in Ultra Sun, you get to meet with Dulce and Zazie.
And if you're in Ultra Moon, what are their names again? I have something else pulled up.
Solaria and Fico.
Yeah, Solaria and Fico. I think Solaria's the one with the magnificent moustache.
I would imagine, Fico would be the moustache.
Yes.
Oh, Fico's the moustache.
I mean, I would imagine so, but I could be wrong. They're not exactly clear on who's named who.
Well, in the trailer, it is.
Actually, they do reveal it in the trailer.
Oh, they do? Okay, apparently I don't remember well then.
Yeah, neither do I. But regardless, the one in Ultra Sun and the one in Ultra Moon has the magnificent moustache and is always twirling it.
Yes.
Well, if you have a mustache like that, it's required.
Yeah,
There's like laws, I think, about that.
Fico is the moustache, Solaria is the woman.
Yeah, that makes sense given their names.
And it looks like they're also, like, that particular pair is related.
Yeah, they got the same purple hair.
Yeah, and at least, like, Zazie and Dulce have different colored hairs, and actually, like, Zazie looks significantly younger.
Yeah, like a little playful girl almost.
Well, she's Napu and what's the ghost chick's name? She's like Haku's height in comparison to all the other characters.
Yeah. And other than that, we also learned that they use Ultra Beasts for battle. The one they showed off was called UB Adhesive, which is a poison-type Pokemon. Shall I read off the details?
Yeah, go ahead and go into it, man.
Yeah, sorry, you guys were a little quiet, so I wasn't knowing. Yeah, okay. So, UB Adhesive, their large heads are filled with venom, and they fire this venom from the poisonous needles on the top of their head. I should also note that this thing looks frackin' adorable.
And then after that we have UB Burst, which I swear to God looks like a clown lollipop.
Reminds me more...
All float down here, Akari.
I'm fucking naming mine Pennywise when I catch it.
Hello,
and about a billion other people.
Yeah, well, it's fire ghost type, which, given its design, I was expecting fairy type.
Well, you could be surprised.
Yeah, this is actually the generation of the weird-ass fucking typings.
And then the last one we got is the Rock Seal type UB Assembly, which looks like a giant fortress.
Yeah, let me give off the details for Burst and Assembly that's on Cerebi.
It looks like a castle, not like the Pokemon fortress.
No, it looks like a rampart, almost. Anyway, UB Burst tricks targets into letting their guard down as they draw near with its funny gait, swaying this way and that, then shocks them by blowing up its own head without warning. Before they can recover their senses, it steals their vitality, which is said to use as a source of energy.
That's interesting.
And next...
It certainly seems like it's going to be an offensive attacker.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet it's going to be pretty fragile, too. Anyway, UB Assembly. While UB Assembly may appear to be made up of stones stacked up one another, Apparently, each stone is in fact a separate life form, and this UB is made up of an assemblage of these life forms.
Hence the name.
That's not creepy or nothing.
Yeah, but yeah, those are the details about the Ultra Beasts.
Naturally, all of them still have beast boost, so there's no differentiation there.
Yeah, and of course, they also added another mechanic where you can travel through Ultra Space and go to the Ultra Beast's different homeworlds, pretty much. They're to each of their base of operations, like Buzzspool's area is like a tropical jungle with a volcano. Zerkatree's is like a constant terrain of thunderstorms and stuff like that.
That's certainly going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
We also got some special moves. The Ultra Beasts are going to have their own Z moves as well, or not the Ultra Beasts. I'm sorry. The Duskmane, Solgaleo, and Dawn version of Lunala.
Yeah, they're each going to have their own Z move, basically, which is based off of their signature move, like Moongeist Beam and Sunsteel Strike.
Right. They also have their own. They also have another attack called. Is it called Plasma Buster or
Prism Buster? I think.
Prism? You see, it's not. There's a lot of notes here, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I'm like scrolling through Cerebi on my phone, and it's a bit of a mess.
Let's see. Photon Geyser. That's what.
Photon Geyser. There we go.
Sorry. Both Pokemon have Prism Armor as their ability, which means that super effective moves are a quarter less effective.
Which is pretty nice.
So, what else? Here's one of the ones that's going to be real controversial. Rotom is going to play more of an important role in the next game, so that after a certain point in the story, he will give you he will distribute a lottery.
Yeah.
Which gives you basically a random Z power from the last game.
It's an O power from Gen 5.
Or O power, I'm sorry. It gives you a random O power that you can then use to boost caching, bringing out higher level monsters,
grinding for cash.
Getting cash, etc.
Which I don't know why you do the grind for cash in the later games, so you practically don't need to.
Well, like in previous games, like I'm playing when I was going through gold right now. Like I am seriously strapped for cash if I want to get anything more than like 10 Great Balls at a time.
All right.
So I mean, I can understand the need for money there, especially if you're kind of a novice player. But even more importantly, if you max out the friendship, it eventually lets you go ahead and essentially gives you an effectively second Z move to use.
Yeah, which is... I'm willing to bet it's only going to be exclusive to the actual campaign.
To the story mode?
Yeah, it's not going to be allowed in... I don't even think he'll be allowed in like the battle tree or anything like that.
It wouldn't be allowed online.
Yeah.
Which is what we're imagining, because it would be like Pokemon Me, which like gave you stupidly good critical hit chances.
Yeah.
Like that, I remember playing through my Y game, and man, that was a broken way just to like kill characters. Sorry, knock out Pokemon. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Aside from all that, we have one very recent piece of news that came out today.
Okay.
Which is that Mimikyu is actually going to get a Z move.
Oh no.
Because the toy for it leaked.
Oh, the Z Crystal toy?
Yes, the Z Crystal toy for Mimikyu leaked. And although people were thinking about it in the poster, because there was another Z Crystal that they weren't sure whose it was, based on this toy paraphernalia, it does look like Mimikyu is going to have its own Z Crystal.
Yes!
Well, it's becoming a fan favorite of this generation.
It is the huge fan favorite of the generation.
For being like one of the mouse imitator Pokemon, like, it really hits the nail on the head with this one.
Well, it's because of the whole fucking concept. It wants to be like Pikachu, but
It just wants to be loved, man.
yeah,
Pretty much.
kind of fucked up when you think about it like that.
Yeah, they're pretty much. Poor little guy.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why people fell in love with it.
And because, the Game Freak and all that jazz.
Yeah. Let me see. I think the top Pokemon from this generation are Mimikyu, Lycanroc, probably the moon form.
Later.
Excuse me?
No,
Is it
Primarina. Primarina is by far the more popular of the three.
Well, people like Rowlet as the tiny bird orb, simply for the meme.
Yes.
But Primarina is probably the most. Well, that and Incineroar.
I mean, I see more. I would say I see more fan art of Primarina.
Really,
I see more of Incineroar. I still people hating on Primarina still.
Well, people hate Primarina because it's actually competitively better than Incineroar. And considering I went through the entire game with Incineroar, I'm saying that as an opposing party.
And I also did play through the Sun using Decidueye. He sucks.
I think the Decidueye needs proper support, but just like this game has a really weird problem in that despite it being taking place on a island inlet, it has a very low distribution of good water Pokemon.
Which is weird.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like the exact opposite of I would say Hoenn's problem.
Too many water
Much
Pokemon.
Water.
7.5 out of 10, too much water.
Yes.
I don't even.
Yeah.
That meme will never die.
No. All right. Does anyone have anything else to add? Pokemon related to the USUM?
We're good.
I think. Would you call that Usum?
Usum, yes.
Yeah. That's weird.
I do have one more thing to add on this note.
Oh?
If you haven't gotten it yet, be sure to go pick up your Marshadow card at GameStop.
Oh.
You mean marshmallow?
Yes, your burnt marshmallows.
Everybody calls it marshmallow.
Yes, because it looks like a burnt marshmallow.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
So pick up your burnt marshmallows at GameStop. It comes with the ability of Technician, Spectral Thief, Close Combat, Force Palm, and Shadow Ball.
And it has its
And
own.
a sea
holds its
crystal.
Yeah.
And it holds its own Sea Crystal.
Yeah. Which is like 7-star Steel Strike or something.
Yes, it is a Hokuto no Ken Pokemon.
Yeah. Alright, next up on our list is some grade A douchebaggery on both parties' faults.
Well, some people say it's a shoot,
This just
some people say
proves
it's a work.
people's stupidity.
What do you think, Akari?
I do not know what to think about this. I mean, all I can say is the bad thing is this thing overhyped shit.
I mean, that's how most things are, but we're talking about the Szechuan McNugget sauce.
Yep, the sauce that got mentioned in the show Rick and Morty got hyped up so much. Like McDonald's is like, "Yep, we're bringing it back for one day," and it sold out really too fast, leaving thousands of people off.
Here's a fun
Let's
fact.
just say Nash actually showed up. They were in Charleston, right? Where there's got to be tons of different McDonald's. They were doing it at one store.
Yeah?
He showed up, and you know those little baggies that the small fries come in?
Yes.
There are people holding those that have a number on them.
To reserve
They
the
had already
sauce.
handed out all of the numbers.
Yeah, there was like only 60 packets at that one McDonald's.
Yeah, the one here in the one here where I'm at had only about 60, 70 packets too.
Yeah. And by the way, here's
Nash is like, he's like, I was disappointed. I was like, oh, well, darn. Well, I'm off to Home Depot. Bye.
Right?
Some people were actually standing there and berating these poor McDonald's workers It is not their fault.
Nope, it is not their fault. And I should also mention this. They on the packets of Szechuan sauce, they had this little doodle of like Rick and Morty on it. Guess
Yes.
what? Not sponsored by Rick and Morty.
No, what they did was they drew up some knockoff art just to make it.
I was gonna say it's not actually Rick and Morty, but it's their own knockoff thing. Which, aside from the fact that there was a deliberate, well, I shouldn't say it's a deliberate shortage, but there people are arguing that the reason that the numbers are so low is because it's a deliberate shortage to give McDonald's PR, and then after this event they said that they're going to bring it back permanently.
Yeah,
Well, for a limited time, but longer than one day.
Either way,
Essentially what they're going for.
Either way, it's a PR nightmare, and I'm willing to bet they're going to get that McDonald's is going to get sued for doing that. Like,
no, they're not.
No, they aren't.
What, for using the likenesses of Rick and Morty?
No, I've seen the art. The art actually isn't of Rick and Morty. It's their own. It's their own pseudo creation that pays homage to it.
Still, this is going to be a bit of a nightmare.
It's already a nightmare. People are idiots if they're willing to stand outside with thousands of other people to get a packet of sauce.
Yeah, and here's the fun thing. You know, the sauce at McDonald's is like 60% corn syrup.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Here's something that, you can do this at home. You can actually make it. What a concept!
You're expecting too much.
I know.
When you're expecting too much, 2 people don't want to put effort into things they nostalgically want. 3, nostalgia blindness.
Kind of why I've kind of given up on nostalgia.
I'm sorry, Kari?
It's not even literally the sauce from the show.
I'm sorry, Kari?
I said pretty much.
Okay. The biggest thing is that Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, the co-creators of Rick and Morty, have basically said, look, we have nothing to do with this. Don't be dicks about it. Just
be nice to the employees. It's not their fault.
Be nice. Let's move on.
Yeah, they're just doing the best they can.
Right. So let's move on from something infuriating to something sad.
All right.
I am not familiar with this.
This has been a meme that's been floating around the internet quite a bit, actually.
Never heard of it until now.
Well, in Japan, there's a certain penguin named Grape who had a unusual obsession with Hululu, a anime character who was put as a cutout.
Huh.
Weird.
And apparently the obsession came about from the real penguin Grape was rejected by his prior mate for 10 years.
Aww.
And so he sort of used the standee as a coping tool.
And it worked.
And apparently it worked, but sadly, Grape passed away. Passed away this past over the week. Passed over the weekend.
That's a shame.
But he was about 80 in human years.
Yeah, 21 years for a penguin is rather old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had a nice long life.
In memorandum, the voice artist who plays the character whose the standee is being used actually wrote a little
eulogy.
Best wishes, a little eulogy for the great penguin.
Aww.
Yes.
That's kind of
again, it's just one of those adorable little sad things that just happens in everyday life.
Yeah. Aww.
All right. Who wants to talk about wrestling?
Pass.
Well, too bad. You're doing it anyway.
Fuck.
Yes, we're doing it anyway. In a crossover event we haven't seen since McDonald's and Rick and Morty, the WWE teamed up with IGN for a 1.5-hour tournament special where six WWE wrestlers and 2 pro video gamers played against each other in a exhibition style tournament.
Oh my
for
god!
the entertainment of the internet.
Really?
Yes, and it was actually run basically like a wrestling show.
Huh.
They had announcers. They had a little storyline going on. They had everyone talking smack to each other.
Oh god!
And it ended with like one of the announcers getting a pie to the face.
Seriously?
In other words, they're doing the stereotypical, hey, the ref got hit with something.
Well, actually, there was a ref in the quote unquote ring, so that way, if the wrestlers got upset, they couldn't just like run over and kick each other in the groin or something.
Good lord.
But like it was rather funny from like a wrestling perspective, and the game wasn't too bad either. So I mean, it's no botchamania. It's not gonna turn you over to wrestling right away. But if you want to go ahead and just hear something a little different, it's good for a listen.
I might do it if I'm curious enough.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to some news.
All right. Arc System teases
some more actual relevant like video game news instead of just media stories.
All right, so Arc System teases Dragon Ball Gauge for Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Yes. This is a new. This is something that came out in their latest build of the game. They've been traveling around showing off alphas and betas, and recently in the latest beta, a Dragon Ball Gauge has been discovered that sits between both players' super gauges.
Is this for like a Mega Gauge or something?
It seems to be, because the idea is that every time you complete a combo, you earn a Dragon Ball.
Huh.
But the Dragon Ball that you get is dependent on how long the combo is. So if you do a small combo, you get a 1-star Dragon Ball. You get a slightly longer combo, then 2 stars, and then 3 stars, and then all the way up to 7.
All right.
I think the requirement to get a 7-star Dragon Ball is like you have to do at least a 70-hit combo.
Wow. Jesus.
Which, to be fair, isn't that difficult considering Dragon Ball can be incredibly stupid with the amount of hits you can deal on an opponent.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So.
But the deal is that if you, like, say, if you do a 40-hit combo, you only get the 4-star Dragon Ball. You don't unlock the Dragon Balls beneath it.
Interesting.
So you have to actually earn each of the 7 Dragon Balls, and something will happen. No one knows yet. No one was told anything by the developers. But everyone thinks that that it's going to be a revive it's going to be a team revive.
Holy shit.
That you essentially fight to bring back one character who's already been knocked out.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good concept.
Yeah, that works with like the theme of Dragon Ball.
Right, it does, and that's one of the things that they were commenting is that not only does it fit for the game realm, but it also would be something that has not been seen in a fighting game before.
Yeah, so do a 10, do a 20, do a 30, do a 40, do a 50, and do a 60, and do a 70.
It's not exactly that linear, but it's something akin to that. It's that concept that you have to do different combos.
Yeah.
But again, this is all unofficial, and that's only from what people who have been having hands-on experience with the game are speculating.
Interesting.
Well, should still be fun regardless.
Related to fighting game news, ARMS version 3.2 is teasing an evil Springman.
Springman?
Yeah, so you know how the main character, the first guy you see when you play ARMS?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, the most of the update stuff for Twitch, most of the update stuff for ARMS just, it's mostly just a montage trailer until you get where it shows off a bunch of buttons and badges until you get to the end. And it shows off a black and red colored, like, it looks like a Springman, but red and black from the back.
Huh.
So, it's my theory, personally, that if Springman is supposed to be Ryu, this character is going to be our Akuma.
Oh.
Oh boy.
So some people see there's like a very brief second of this new character doing like about to go into his rush mode, but you can barely see it, and it's too difficult to tell, but it certainly resembles Springman in appearance. So we're thinking it must be like a sort of evil Ryu Akuma situation.
Well, that'd certainly be interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with their first palette swap type character. Let's see here. Let's talk indie.
Indie?
Yes, let's talk independent games
Yeah,
with a very familiar name.
Yeah, Indy's going to the dogs.
Yeah.
They're scratching up the wrong post.
Pretty much.
Who remembers Swery?
Apparently.
I don't know, to be honest. What have they made?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. The D4 guy.
Yeah, he did D4. He also is Deadly Premonition.
That's the other one I recognize it now.
And Spy Fiction, which is I actually never even heard of that one, but he's best known for Deadly Premonition.
Oh god, that game is.
Which is I've heard it being compared to like Fargo. Am I right?
No, Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Thank you. It's very much compared to Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I've seen like a little bit of it, and I'm like, this is weird.
Well, prepare for even more weirdness as Swery tries to go ahead and get the ground running for The Good Life.
The Good Life?
Yes.
Good Life.
The Good Life is a RPG where you play as a woman, Naomi, who in the day is just an average person, but at night, Naomi will transform into a cat.
Okay, this is beginning to sound like a Lady Hawk situation.
Lady Hawk?
Okay. Quick thing. Fantasy movie where this monk kid runs into a knight who fell in love with a girl, and this bishop cursed them both. The knight is turned into a wolf during the night, and the girl is human during the night. And when it's daytime, she turns into a hawk, and he turns human.
Oh, okay. Well, there seems to be like a curse too for that. In that, there seems to be like a curse on the town, as the town folks will also turn into animals.
Huh. That's kind of weird.
Originally, the design was supposed to be that Naomi turns into cats, turn into a cat, and the townsfolk also turn into cats. But apparently now Swery is saying that there's also going to be a dog mode. And it's going to be like Pokemon Red and Blue, in which you can either have the story take place with dogs or take place with cats.
That's weird.
And basically the gameplay is going to evolve into exploration, in which if you're a cat, you'll be climbing in high spots and slip under holes. If you're a dog, you'll dig holes and follow scent trails.
I don't know how to process this.
Well, neither does the internet because Swery pulls the game from Fig and moves it to Kickstarter after missing his Fig goal.
What?
Yes.
Sounds desperate.
Well, it might also be that he's asking for $1.5 million.
What?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Most indie games are pulling off their projects with, like, a third of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is Swery, so this is a guy who is eccentric. He is like Suda51.
So, complete and utter buttfuckery.
Yes, as anyone who has played Deadly Premonition would be willing to attest.
I played the first episode of that, and I got bored. Speaking of D4,
I was gonna say before they pulled their game off of Fig, Swery had only got about just under $700,000.
Really?
Yes.
Alrighty.
So,
So,
but no money was collected from backers, so we'll actually see how that actually comes out. However, to get to what Akari was going into, yes, Swery doesn't want you to mention D4 anymore.
Dark Dreams Don't Die. That apparently was a very...
Needs to die.
Well, Swery says it's dead. Quit talking about it. Because people were, amongst one of the criticisms people were asking about the game, they were also asking if there was going to be a Dark Dreams Don't Die Season 2, which was supposed to be the original plan. It was going to be an episodic release, something akin to The Walking Dead or Life is Strange for a while.
Or what Half-Life tried to do and utterly failed.
Well, Half-Life at least promised different games.
Yeah, they haven't really done much of anything recently.
Well, that fell through. But Swery insists that he does not want to talk about Dark Dreams Don't Die anymore. So apparently Dark Dreams did die.
Finally.
Well, ain't that weird?
Specifically, the comments he had were he was basically criticizing people who were saying that he moved on. His specific comment was, "Unless I finish D4, are there no right to make a new work? He is the same as saying to me, you effing die, or you F die."
Charming.
Yes.
Good lord.
There were some people who were commenting, going, we're not going to donate because you haven't finished the other game. It's like, people do different projects. It's okay.
Well, the main thing is that Swery is one of those art tour game designers. He's like Suda51 or the guy who does the Nier games.
Yoko Taro.
Yoko Taro, thank you. I couldn't remember his name, but Yoko Taro. And so they're basically like, they're the avant-gardists of video game design. They don't make sequels. They make whatever they want.
Well, technically, fun fact, I don't know if Nier, the original Nier, is supposed to be a sequel to Drakengard.
It is, and it's a real... But, again, Yoko Taro has some really weird, game stuff, and, that's why I'm kind of like... Because you wouldn't look at Nier and Drakengard, and you would say that they're the same.
And you wouldn't even think the same thing of Nier Automata, either.
Right, but apparently if you do play the game, there is some very significant, plot points to where, no, these are connected.
And of course, Yoko Taro is a fucking psycho crazy man who actually put the CEO of Square Enix as an extra boss.
He also rigorously appreciates the fan art from his fans.
Yeah!
Which, considering the internet, that's rather unusual.
Yeah.
But more to the point is just that when you deal with these guys who consider themselves creationists, they don't like to play by anyone else's rules. They're not in it for the money. They're in it to... They're the worst version. They're like... Who is a competent form of Uwe Boll?
Fuck, I don't know what you'd call that.
They basically, will do whatever they want, but sometimes it's actually good.
Weird.
It's like,
God, there's so many.
I guess it's like, instead of the room, it's the disaster artist. Basically the comparison I'm trying to make here.
Alright.
But I've meandered enough as long as this has gone on. Let's move on to some more nostalgia. Lost Sphere.
It's adding Xenosaga?
Well, it has Xenosaga-like elements when I saw this gameplay trailer.
Alright,
so,
I never actually saw this trailer, so...
Okay, so you do that, I'll narrate this portion.
Alright.
You got something to say, Kristen? Oh, okay, I thought I saw your mic coming up.
Alrighty, so,
anyway. Okay. Anyway, Lost Sphere is based off of I Am Setsuna.
Really?
Made by the same company.
Okay.
So that game was heavily based off of Chrono Trigger, and you could literally say that it was a very much heavily ham-fisted. But this time, Lost Sphere is adding in some Xenosaga elements. By not just you have a party of RPG protagonists to control, but you also can get them into mech suits.
I'm seeing that.
What do you guys think?
Holy shit.
It's all done in a chibi-esque character style, but you have free control of the map as you move around with an ATV battle system that basically says, you better take out the opponents fast or they will lay the wallop on you.
Yeah, this battle style is pretty much like Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm. Now, you don't immediately... now you don't have the same abilities if you're not in the mech suit. So being in and out of the mech suit is an important thing to know. But if your mech suit dies, I believe you're down as well. You don't come out of the mech suit.
Yeah, that sounds similar to the eggs or aims that are in Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3.
So, except they have more of a Magitech armor feel to them since they're much smaller. So, it looks interesting, at least to me. What do you guys think?
It could be pretty interesting.
I
All
looked at the
depends on
game.
how they actually
Akari?
But after looking at the trailer, I'm actually, like I said, I'm really picky when it comes to RPGs, but I have to look up this one when it gets closer to release.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm certainly... I heard a lot of unflattering things about I Am Setsuna, so I'm a bit on the fence of it as well, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this comes out.
I heard a lot of people were like, they didn't like the music in I Am Setsuna. It was just like all piano riffs. And I heard the story was actually pretty flat too.
That's rather odd considering if there's any saving grace for most video games, it's that there's a competent soundtrack.
Yeah, it was all just piano music for I Am Setsuna.
Huh.
And I'm like,
that's very unusual.
Yeah. So,
Alright. Let's move on to some porting news. Neo Complete Edition is coming to the PC.
Oh, okay.
And it will be debuting with a Valve helmet.
A what?
You get a special helmet for getting it on Steam.
It literally has a valve on its head.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
I mean, to be
really
fair...
expecting anything intricate? Come on, seriously.
I mean, to be fair, it's actually called the Dharma Chakra Kabuto, which is kind of similar to some of the ancient Buddhist symbols. However, it's just consequently looking like the Steam logo, or the Valve logo.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, hardy, har.
These things happen, of course.
Of course.
Of course, Valve gets its special thing. But more importantly, the game is going to be... This version of Neo is going to come with all the DLC.
Cool.
So you'll get all the DLC, all 7 weapon types, and you will be able to go ahead and get the dual Guardian Spirit ability, which comes in, I think it's Defiant Honor DLC. Which basically says, now you can have 2 Guardian Spirits to summon when you need to.
I see. I'm just trying to think about how it... I'm just trying to remember, Tear of Grace's playthrough of Neo.
It basically operates like a more... imagine Ninja Gaiden, but with, a more Dark Souls approach.
I see.
Oh, God.
That's basically what you're looking at in terms of inspirations.
I see.
There's more of an emphasis on moveset unlocking than it is actual stat increasement.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of Diablo in terms of, you get a lot of equipment and there's a lot of item management to deal with.
Okay.
Which is a different mix-up. Speaking of mixing-ups, this is the most unusual pairing I've seen in a while. Darkest Dungeon is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Really?
Yes. So now you will be able to play arguably one of the most dark RPGs I have ever seen on the most family-friendly console to date.
Well, keep in mind, the Switch is going to have both Doom and Wolfenstein on it, too.
Yeah, I mean, like, those are some unusual choices, but to be fair, like, there needs to be some sort of hardcore grab on there.
Yeah.
No word if the Crimson Court DLC is going to be attached, and there's also going to be, in the works, some more DLC to bring in new characters.
By the way, speaking of Darkest Dungeon, a friend of mine online, Ronald Bloodwings, or Ron Bloodwings, is doing a Darkest Dungeon Let's Play. And
No shit?
Yeah, and some of his characters are based on Legend, me, Leo, and some of his other online friends as well.
Oh, well, that's going to be wonderful. Oh, now I'm going to have to tune in to see what happens to me.
Yeah.
You die tragically.
Ronald, if I have any choice in the matter, please put me in the brothel whenever I go back to town.
I'll let Ron know that. But Leo, I'm actually surprised you haven't been hearing about it because he was actually mentioning it, like who was in it on Twitter.
I don't go onto Twitter that much because I have school.
Well, check your notifications because you've probably been on a few.
I haven't been tagged.
He added you on it.
I will need to check my Twitter then. Please excuse me while I do that. In the meantime, talk about Hey Arnold for a bit.
Oh, God, yes.
All right.
How long has this show ended?
13 years.
Wow.
It ended in 2004.
Yeah, 13 years, and it left us hanging, and now we're finally going to get a closure on the biggest mystery of the whole series, which...
Arnold's frickin' parents!
Yes! It's apparently called The Jungle Movie, but we actually get to find out what happened to it.
And, if this works out, the cast is down for making a whole new season.
Do it! Do it!
The cast is down for it. It all comes down to the production company as to whether it'll be financially feasible depending on how popular the movie is.
Oh, knowing how long this been waited and how many people love this show, it's going to be massive.
Well, you figure that's their thing. They're like, our goal is to go to series after this. We're hoping that's what happens.
That's certainly the hope.
This was one of my favorite Nickelodeon cartoons growing up. It was so funny and clever with a lot of... I mean, all the characters were unique and fun in their own ways. And to find out that we're finally going to get this big 13-year-old mystery solved.
In November!
Oh my god.
November 24th.
It's going to be one heck of a movie premiere, I'll tell you that much.
And they're literally going to, and from what I've seen with the trailer, it looks amazing. It's like an Indiana Jones-esque kind of adventure. And, I'm just getting the chills. I cannot wait to see this, along with Rocco's Modern Life and Invader Zim.
Seriously, they're bringing back Zim?
Yeah, they're bringing back Zim.
What, you don't like Sim?
Sorry, it's just I'm thinking about all the edgelords back in high school that were fucking fans of Zim.
Oh, trust me, you have more problems than just the edgelords.
Oh god, what else?
And let's see.
I don't remember what the artist's name is, but there was this one artist.
You mean the artist for Zim?
No, it's a fan guy on DeviantArt.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember his name, but basically this dude had an entire, alternate universe for Cartoon Network. But basically the plot was some interdimensional dudes come into play. Dee dies, creating, a dystopia effect, and, there's a whole bunch of reality shenanigans. But, the oddest thing about it was, his obsession with the Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls D.
that what it is?
He's on Snafu Comics. I read his fan comic of the Powerpuff Girls.
That's the one then.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and he also has one called Grim Tales, which is one that one deals with Death's kid because Death married Mandy from Billy and Mandy.
Yeah, and so like one of them, yeah, it's really like he has some really unusual interpretations of the Cartoon Network universe.
Yeah, his name is Bleedman, I think.
That's what his name. His name was Bleedman. That's what he. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Sad thing is, I still check in on it every now and then.
Like there was a run that he had for a while on DeviantArt, and that's to the extent that I followed it.
I kind of followed the Snafu Comics website because that's where he posted his comic. But the one that I was most interested in was one that just never got finished. It was by a dude named Endling. It was called Ever After, and it had a whole bunch of alternate universe Grimm's fairy tales characters.
I think I remember that one as well.
Like Little Red Riding Hood had a chainsaw and was haunted by a black wolf spirit. And Goldilocks was actually psychic and had like 3 astral projections of the 3 little bears. And like they were all in this like fairy tale insane asylum.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it was really good, but it never went anywhere.
Aww.
Like the guy just stopped making the comic, and I'm like, Bleedman actually used Little Red in his weird little comic that was about characters in Candyland.
Huh.
Yeah, I think it was called Sugar Bits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that comic was actually pretty good, and he used like Endling's Little Red Riding Hood character. God dang.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right, so moving off of that tangent, we're back onto.
But back onto Hey Arnold. So yes, they are doing the movie. They could hopefully get a 3rd season. I'm very curious about how they come back to that series, given by how much time it's
said that they would be in like 6th grade or something like that.
Right. But the deal is that like keep in mind like how much technology has changed since when that show debuted to now. This is
who said they'd have to change this?
No, I'm not, but I'm saying, like, that's going to be so dated, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, but it'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
Right, but, like, remember when we saw the Rocko's Modern Life trailer? And that one, they were jumping to present day?
Yeah.
Like, this is the reverse feeling of that. This is instead of, like, look how terrible we've become in the future. This is now, oh my god, look how weird things were in the past.
Like, I still think about the fact that Helga's father, Bob, his whole job was beepers. Who the fuck still uses a beeper now?
Surgeons.
Yeah, that's pretty much the...
I'm more concerned with, like, Helga's mom. Like, Jesus.
Oh no.
Like the whole alcoholism thing, like, jeez.
Yeah, and it's a kind of amazing how kind of real some of the things in Hey Arnold were.
No, like it was very real, but we didn't think about it because we were kids.
Yeah, and like basically all those kids are growing up in the ghetto.
I mean, that's what else would you call it?
The ghetto.
The ghetto.
I mean, basically, it's a poor suburb in New York. So,
Ugh.
I mean, what else would you call it again?
Yeah.
Let's move on to something else. Batman.
Oh yes.
Wait. This is still depressing. No, it's not.
Batman the Animated Series is being remastered for Blu-ray.
Yes.
Oh my god.
If there's anything like that was defined Batman, this was it for me.
Yeah, you know what? This and the Justice League in the Justice League animated show, that's my superhero shit. That is...
I was gonna say, you know why, right?
Because it was good?
Well, not just that. The Joker was voiced by Mark Hamill.
Yes,
That was, I think, his debut as the Joker.
Oh,
it was.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
This
Still the
show
best
is
Joker.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
Yeah, I already have the entire series on DVD, but there are just some shows that when they finally give you a Blu-ray release,
You just want to get it.
you just have to cave. Because you know the price for the Blu-ray will probably be about half what it would cost you to get all 4 of the DVD sets now.
Oh God, yeah. And I will say this, I kind of agree with Nostalgia Critic. This show to me is the best representation of Batman.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it is. I like it better than the movies because of how laid out the stories are, how much we get to know the villain characters. It's just everything. To me, there is not a single bad episode in this show.
Well, okay, there's some where you're like, why did they make that? But it's not so horrible that you're like, ugh.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Me and my dad have been watching the show Gotham, and we've been pretty much enjoying it. I'm actually wondering if my dad would actually be willing to watch Batman the Animated Series with me, because I don't think he ever watched it with me as a kid.
That would be something interesting. I know, like some of the I've seen some cartoons with my folks, but like it's kind of odds and ends. Like I'm pretty sure they would remember Batman, but like they remember Johnny Bravo and Ed and Eddie out of all of them.
Yeah, they remember. My dad remembers that Ed and Eddie and saying how it was a stupid cartoon that I should have never been watched.
Well, to be fair, it was a stupid cartoon, but we didn't care.
It was actually a really nice cartoon in my opinion. Like looking back at it, like before they got like the season where they went to school and stuff, and they had the art change, like it was a really incredible series.
Yeah, I think up until then it was pretty good. I kind of remember like a creepypasta fan theory, like the whole cul-de-sac was like purgatory.
Yes, and the cankers were harpies and all that jazz.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, why do you have to ruin things like that?
No, I was the cool kid growing up because my mom was the one who would not want me to go to school till we watched the Scooby-Doo episode that was on.
Nice.
Nice. I was always frustrated because of where we were. Whenever I would come back from school, the Power Rangers episode would be finishing over. So I wouldn't get to see my Power Rangers except for on a few rare occasions. But yeah, the last thing, and we'll go back to what we originally were talking about earlier, Splatfest is here.
Yes.
And for once we didn't get screwed, Europe did.
Pretty much, fits the Halloween season. We are choosing either 2 monsters of the night, either the blood-sucking vampire or the hairy werewolf. So
Naturally, we all went werewolf.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Like, what else were we going to pick? Fuck vampires.
Meanwhile, Europe has a very unusual question that needs to be answered.
oh god.
No, it's the question of the ages.
Do you put your...
Toilet seat up, toilet paper over or under?
Yeah.
What? Over, definitely.
I mean, is this even an argument?
Well,
It's an age-old argument.
At my house, it is apparently because my mom insists on it being under.
that's what my mom does.
Why?
Because they don't want it to run.
The official patent for toilet paper shows it hanging over.
Exactly.
I kid you not.
Oh, I know.
Wow. You've actually looked this up, Muzi.
No, I've actually found the picture when I was scrolling through things.
It's been a thing where like it'll pop up every now and then when people mention it as an argument.
Jesus Christ.
But the actual patent shows it laying over. Not under.
Good lord.
But at least we got a cool theme here.
Yeah. But I will say this. I'm willing to bet Pearl's going to win again. I'm willing to fucking bet.
Probably not.
Either way, I'm gonna be getting sea snails because I maxed out my rank, so.
Well, I at least got the champion. I kind of just burned out.
That's why I took huge breaks in between.
Oh, I did too, but I was like, every single time I went on, it was like, lose, lose, lose. And I'm like, no. My teams were full of idiots. And every single time I got opponents that were using, like, dualies, and they were just zip-zapping around, and just... I fucking hate the dualies. Ugh.
Not exactly easy.
And I suck at using them myself, which is more frustrating.
You just gotta find the right one.
Ugh. I know what I'm good at. It's the Octobrush.
She likes to be a ninja.
Yes. Well, that's it for the news.
Is there anything coming up on the channel, Sarah?
Okay, coming up on the channel, more Dragon's Dogma from me and Legend, Danganronpa on Fridays, and that's pretty much it. I really don't have any plans for, like, actual, like, videos for, like, rant videos at the moment. I'm kind of burned out on those, and they're so difficult to make. So, that's it for me. And, well, I guess we'll go ahead and sign it off here. So, this is Dead Zero.
This is Leo Force.
This is Muzi.
And this is, I don't remember my name anymore.
Akari.
Signing off for the night.
Legend Hunters signing out. Bye.
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 Adios.